Okay, guys, hi. Here we go. I'm gonna wait a few minutes, obviously, for those of you who are coming in live. All right, here's the other thing too. So I have my phone turned. Just turn this down a little bit. I have, yes, my phone turned. So, yeah, if it's sideways, let me know, and then I will have to adjust accordingly. Hey, Julie, how are you? Hey, Lona. So if I'm sideways on your screen, let me know. I'm hoping I'm not, because I don't know how to figure out the other way. So one of you guys let me know. And I'll try to look at it online, and I hopefully, oh, it looks like it's like coming like the right way. It's weird. I can see myself here on my computer and here, but it's delayed over here. Technology. Yeah. All right, so I think I am, hey Lisa, welcome guys, welcome, welcome. So I'm hoping that I am facing the right way up, and that I'm not sideways. I have a new little selfie tripod. It's like a tripod just for selfies. Cutting in and out, not sure if it's me or you. I'm sitting right next to my Wi-Fi, so I did that on purpose. I'm hoping it's not me. Not sideways. Perfect. Thank you, Lona. This is going to be really distracting if I keep watching that, because it's like watching myself talk. Not sideways. All right. We've got 6 people on. Hey, guys, make sure you say hello. Hello. Let me know how your day was. That's what I want to know. How was your day? Hey, Stephanie. I'm so freaking jazzed that you're here. It's so crazy. Matter of 2 days. It's wonky for me too. Wonky, what does that mean? Like in and out? Who else is cutting in and out? Perfect there. Hey, Julie, thank you. So, know that me too meaning, oh, great day. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so I'm going to give it a couple of moments. You guys let me know how your signal is doing. Julie says hers is fine. Ginger is better now. Good. I have 10 comments so far. They're so proud of me. Hi, lost my mojo. I think it is in the heart down here. Lisa, 2 more days till break. Yay! Yes, great day, Steph. Awesome. Heat. I know, Carolyn. I'm so jealous. It's like, well, it was a heat wave here today. Good signal, good. It was a heat wave to here. It was like, it got up to 30 today here. That was like, compared to like yesterday, it was freaking cold. So there's that, right? Awesome, awesome. All right, so I want to know, are you guys ready? Are you super jazzed? I am so freaking jazzed for this. Your day was productive? Awesome, Lona. Love productive days, right? Are you guys excited? I want to know, give me a hell yes if you are excited, because I am so jazzed about this workshop. We have a lot to go over. So perfect, Carolyn, thank you. So if you are super jazzed as well, or what have you, I just want to make sure that you are ready to go. So make sure you have paper, pen, that kind of thing, because we are going to really utilize it. Awesome. Work is done, but finish a certificate of personal. Perfect, Ginger. I love that. Awesome. You girls are fantastic. I'm so glad to have you in here. I think the boys are either not speaking up or they're not showing up yet. They're going to show up later. Boys. All right. All right, so I'm going to turn this down. All right, so just so you know, I'm going to give you guys a special offer after this is done at the end. So you'll want to stick around for that because it's just for this group. And I just want to make sure that you guys knew about that coming straight into this, so that way you can listen for it. It'll be at the end of our workshop today. So it's just for you guys, though. I'm not offering it to anybody else because you guys are the ones that said hell yes first. and that's why I believe you should be rewarded. All right. So I have my notes here, so because there's specific stuff that I really want to get into. You can chime in anytime. I may or may not see the comment, especially since it's sideways. I don't see as many comments at once. So just make sure that you poke me later on if I didn't answer your question or what have you. I'm happy to do that afterwards. I'll try to go through the comments after I'm done with the live stream and answer anything or respond or what have you accordingly, okay? I'm going to get started first by defining mindset, because I think a lot of people are kind of like, well, what is that? It's, what does that even mean? I've heard like, people like a Tony Robbins say that for years and years and years. And, what does that, it kind of sounds cheesy, and it's kind of making its way back into the personal development field because it is so important. And the word is becoming a little more on point as far as what it is to live with a healthy mindset and what actions you can take in order to continue having that healthy mindset as you move forward through your life, and how important it is. So the dictionary defines mindset as a fixed mental attitude or disposition that predetermines a person's response to and interpretations of situations, an inclination or a habit. Pretty dry. It's a pretty dry definition, but if you wanted the straightforward definition, that's how Webster defines it, okay? We're going to go through two different mindsets. Some of you might be familiar, especially if you follow me, because I talk about this often: the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. So when you have a fixed mindset, typically that comes from people believing in their basic qualities, like their intelligence or their talents, or their traits, their characteristics. They spend time documenting their intelligence and their talents instead of developing them. So they just believe that they can't change those things necessarily, like your talents can't change. You can watch later too, Lona. That's totally fine, or just, catch up or what have you. You'll be able to do that. And that they believe that their talents don't really necessarily create success without a certain kind of effort. Now, if you have a growth mindset, you are one of believing that your basic skills, traits, characteristics can be developed, they can evolve, and that they can bring you into new spaces, new opportunities, new development at any time. And that your failures are actual stepping stones to get you where you want to go. And usually have a lot of longevity just from a working kind of space, whether it's where you're working on a craft, working on your actual work, your career. There's a lot of longevity there typically because you have a growth mindset. Now, growing up, I actually had two mindsets for two different parts of my being. So the first was a fixed mindset around school. I just believed that I was born with a certain amount of intelligence and that I wasn't going to get smarter. And it was because, yes, we are always evolving and shifting, absolutely. And it was because I just didn't take to school very well. I wasn't really a solid student. I was a C student at best, and I really worked for those grades. And so I try to put myself in positions to learn. I would sit at the front of the class in algebra. It would scare me to death, but I'm like, surely if I'm sitting in the front row, I'll be forced to pay attention and I'll be forced to get this. And it just didn't click for me. And so I developed a real fixed mindset around especially things like math and science, but just around school in general. And where I had a growth mindset was with my artistic side. So whether it was my dance, whether it was just creative stuff that I would do with my mom and dad, the way I looked at the world creatively, I figured those things could be developed easily. I was really ambitious in those areas. So you can have both mindsets, but I will say that the fixed mindset typically wins out a lot of times. So if you have that, it's okay. It can be developed and it can be evolved, but it is something kind of interesting to ask yourself whether or not you come from which one of those spaces. And you know, don't be ashamed one way or the other. I used to be really ashamed of my fixed mindset, and I realized it's not my fault. It was just, you know, it was just a set of belief patterns that I had to really break down and had to redevelop a different pattern for. Okay, so those are the two sets of typical mindsets. Okay, and I want you to grab your paper and your pen because we're going to start writing. All right, so I want you to, we're going to write down like the 12 areas of life that I have adopted through, you know, people that I follow, coaches that I have, speakers that I love, thought leaders that I appreciate. So these 12 different spaces are the spaces that I want you to develop your mindset in. And I think it's important that you do so for each area, right? So you can see and really check in, because typically when we're off in one place, we're going to be off in other places. So I think it's important to switch to your laptop. Oh, good. So typically it's like a better way to develop yourself overall instead of in just one area. And it's okay, because sometimes, like for me, I suffer in the financial and abundance space. But if I just concentrated on that and not some of the other areas of my life, other things would fall apart. So I have to try to encompass everything. Okay, I try to tackle everything in my mindset practices. So before we get into actually your unique practice, I want you to write these things down. Okay, so first one's going to be your health and fitness. And you can just write a list of these. We're going to make a different list of these later. Intellectual life. Your emotional life. Your spiritual life. Your love life and relationships. Your parenting life or parenting vision. Your social life. Your financial life. Now this financial life is different than your career, so we're going to keep the two different. Your financial life includes things like assets, income, salary, property, those kinds of things. Your career life, which is what you spend the majority of your time at, right? Typically for most of us. Your quality of life, and that's going to include your surroundings and your environment. And finally, your life vision. Okay? So those are 12 areas that kind of hit on everything. Some of those things you might think about all the time because they're the first and foremost of your brain. And some of those things you may have not even considered even tackling from a mindset standpoint. So we are going to kind of jump in before we actually develop a practice for you and figure out what that looks like. I think it's important to develop really what you're after and the right kinds of questions to start asking yourself around developing a healthy mindset practice. So are you guys ready to go through that? Are you ready to go through these cool mindset shifting questions? If you are, give me a thumbs up, because I want to see the thumbs, or a heart. I like hearts too. Hearts are great. Feel loved. Everybody wants to feel loved. Awesome. Lona's ready. Stephanie's ready. Love it. Mo. It's okay, Mo. I'm glad you're here. I was wondering if you were going to be here live or not. I'm glad. You haven't missed too much. You can always go back. All right. So we've got a lot of yeses. Good, good, good. All right. So the first thing that we're going to tackle is I want to know, what do you really want out of your life? Yeah, what do you really want out of your life? And I want you just to write this down. It could be in a list or bullet points, whatever feels good to you. I just want you to, so did I. I have my coffee too. I just want you to make a nice list of what that is. What do you want out of your life? And I'm going to give you a couple of moments to do that, all right? Throw some music on. Think of those categories that we talked about. What do you want out of your health and fitness? What do you want out of your intellectual or spiritual life? What do you want out of love? What do you want out of your career? How do you want your finances to look? So you can keep going with that. And of course, you'll have time to go back to this, because if we waited for everybody to be done, we would be here all night. And I don't want to waste your guys' time. The idea is to get you as much information in a short period of time so you can go back and actually spend some good time on this. All right. So just a basic list is fine, because we're going to look at that basic list. And let's see here. And I want you to take a check mark to the things that seem pretty basic to you. So, you know, I want a good job. I want happy kids. I want more money. I want to be happy. I want to live by the ocean. I want to be in love. So anything that seems basic to you, I just want you to put a check mark next to. I'm so jazzed that you guys are here, that you're doing this workshop. You're going to be shifted by the end of this. Just you wait. So exciting. So you're placing a check mark next to those basic things. Okay, so look at your list of checks, okay? And, you know, we all have that basic category. A lot of us tend to work from the basic category. And that's okay, because it takes a lot of effort to actually get really clear about some of this stuff. So I want you to take your first want, okay, and ask yourself, what do you believe about that want? All right, so let me give you an example. So for me, like if I want to, like for me, it's going to be, I want to travel the world. That's really big on my list. That's really up on the priority list for me. And now, what do I believe about that? I believe that doing this would require me to save a lot of money, that I would have to take off a lot of time, and that it would be really fun. Okay? So, I want you to write down what you believe about that want. So, let's say, I'll give you another example. So let's say one of your wants is, I want to live by the ocean, okay? And what do you believe about that? Do you believe that it's available to you to be able to do? Do you believe that it is part of your destiny? Do you believe that it's going to take a large effort to make that happen? Do you believe that you don't have enough money for that, even though you want it? So that gives you an idea of what I'm looking for. Okay, so what do you believe about that want? Take a minute and figure that out. We were just doing this for the first one. You can do it for the first two if you're ambitious. You'll be able to go back and do this later with all of your wants. And I want you to look at kind of what you wrote down, and I want you to really ask yourself, are these things really true? Are these things really true about what you want, or is it a story that you are telling yourself? Do you really need to save a lot of money to travel the world? Well, I learned that you don't. I just really thought it would cost too much money, so I always place that in the it's not available to me category until I started actually finding out, well, if I want to go to Europe, then I maybe should find out how much the ticket costs, right? If I want to go to a music festival in Amsterdam, I better figure out how much the ticket costs. If I want to take a train, an overnight train from Paris to Italy, I better find out how much that ticket costs. So once I started actually diving into, how I could travel very affordably and how I could stack that up, and not have to purchase everything at once, perhaps. For me, I piecemealed a trip to Europe and I paid for pieces here and there until I was pretty much paid for before I left, which is a really great way to travel, I might add, because it's a lot less stressful. So typically we tell ourselves a lot of stories because of the unknowns. And it's what I really want you to kind of wrap your head around when it comes to your wants and desires. If your mind is telling you that you can't really do something, or something's not really available to you, then you will keep finding ways to not bring that into your life. The idea is just to make yourself aware of it, to the steps that it's going to take to open your mind up and going, oh, well, maybe it really wouldn't be that complicated to travel. Maybe it wouldn't cost me that much money. If it's, I have to take off a lot of time from work, if that's one of the things that surrounds something like that, then maybe can you get creative with your boss? Can you take a little sabbatical? Can you work from a laptop and put in the hours and do things from Skype or messengers? Or do you really just need to find another job that really suits that, right? So I want you to think around kind of like why it feels scary to you, or why it feels kind of unreachable for you, or what stories you might be telling yourself around those wants, okay? So the next thing that I want you to ask yourself is, who do you need to become in order to do that thing? We're just taking our first one on the list here, right? This is a process. I told you it's a process. All right. So meaning, like, if I wanted to travel the world, who would I need to become in order to, yes, exactly. Totally, Stephanie. I totally agree with that. Who would you need to become in order to travel the world? So I had to ask myself, who do I need to step into? Like, if I were the person who traveled all over the world, what would I need to do? Well, for me, that I would need to get my work in order. I would need to make sure that I could work from a laptop if I wanted to always travel the world. And that's exactly what I'm pulling my life together to do, to be able to work from just about anywhere in the world, as long as it has a Wi-Fi connection, right? It's my only stipulation. All right. I would need to be a travel hacker. Like, I would need to know how to get good deals. I would need to know where to find those deals. I would need to know, maybe create a registrar of Airbnb people who I would normally stay with, and be able to reach out to them when I want to go into that particular country or city or what have you. I would need to be able to calculate my costs up front and know how much how much my budget would allow me. All of those things. Okay. So it's really about stepping into that person and who you need to become in order to be that person. So for instance, let's say let's take the whole living by the beach thing. Who would you need to become in order to be somebody who lives at the beach? Well, you would have to figure out how much it costs to get you there. You would need to know what kind of opportunities are available to you once you got there where you could have a career. You would have to learn, how to become a part of that community and what kinds of resources might be available to you. You would need to find an actual beach house potentially, right? You would need to start making some contacts in that area, so that way you could make a really seamless transition into that new community. Get involved in some particular way. You would need to save a certain amount of money, obviously, to make that happen. It's asking yourself, who you need to become in order to actually step into that person and change your mind about why you can't bring that into your life. Cool? All right, let's move on. Let's see here. All right. So those categories that we wrote up above, when you look up there, there's 12 different kind of categories. I want you to write at the top of the page of that header, and then the next page would be the next one, you know, for 12 pages. I'm hoping you have enough paper. That's why I told you to bring a lot of paper. So you would write, you know, health and wellness, and you would write, you know, your intellectual self on the next page. The next page would be spiritual self. The next page would be emotional self, and so on and so forth. So take a moment to do that. Okay, wrap that up. So on each one of these pages, I want you to write out what you want from each one of those areas of your life. Okay, so what do you want from your health and wellness? What do you want from your emotional self, from your love life, from your intellectual self, from your spiritual self? What do you want from your finances? All right, so you kind of did an overall kind of vision. All right, so, and you can kind of skip that last life vision because that was a little bit what we tackled right there in the beginning. But I want you to get a little more specific. All right, so you're off to the dentist. That's a late dental appointment, but I forget you're on the West Coast. That's all right. You can come back and see me stuff. I want you to write down just probably 2 or 3 things in each category. You're going to go back and fill this in more, you know, later on when you have some more time. And here's the thing. I want you to replace the word I want to with things like I will or I am. Okay, so instead of like saying like, I'm going to give you some suggestions here to help kind of kick you off. So for like health and wellness, for me to be, instead of I want to live a long life, I'm going to say I will live a long life, a healthy life, free from disease and health concerns. I will feel the best I've ever felt up into this place in my life. I will rock my bikini this summer. Okay. So my intellectual self, instead of saying I want to learn about my inner workings every day, I will learn about my inner workings every day. I will place myself in environments where I am required to up level all the time. I will surround myself with people who want the same level of thinking in their lives on a daily basis. All right, so you're going to replace those wants with wills. Okay, I will or I am. Cool. I don't even want I'm going to. I want I will. It's more concrete. All right. You got the idea? Is that good? Everybody say yes or give me some thumbs up if that makes sense to you. And I want you to just I'm going to give you a little time in each category, and I'm going to let you listen to music because I'm nice. Perfect. Awesome. Take a few minutes to do that. This is my Europe playlist, so it's apropos that I mentioned Europe. I have a playlist for everywhere I go and travel. So I can always go back there. Nice. I missed the last 3. That's all right. Nice. All right, we're going to go to our next step, guys. Okay? Because you'll be able to go back and do this and fill this out more. And I'll recap this. Don't worry at the end, so that way you know where you are, what you're doing. Okay? Your next step is, now I want you to ask yourself, what would it take? Okay, for your number 1 in each one of those categories, I want you to ask yourself, what would it take? So for me, if it says my number 1 in my health and fitness, I will live a long, healthy life free of disease and health issues, that one. What would it take? Well, that would take me eating organic and non-GMO foods regularly. That would require me to see my doctors regularly or occupational type therapists. That would take me seeing my dentist regularly. That would take me spending time on my physical activity more regularly. That activity would be probably something like dance. All right, so do you get the idea? It would take those things. For my next one about my other well-being, I will learn about my inner workings every day, my intellectual self. What would that take? Okay, what does that look like for me? It would take me doing a regular mindset practice. That would take me committing to myself and the preservation of my own mind. That would take me consistently looking for ways to grow. That would take me getting uncomfortable a lot, since that is required to grow, and etc. Okay? So I want you to ask yourself, what would it take for your number ones in each of those categories? And again, you can just do the first couple of categories just to get you started, so that way you know where you're going, and you can do this later. So I want to definitely get you guys to your mindset practices, but I think it's important, in order to talk about a mindset practice, you need to kind of know a little bit about what you want out of your life, right? A little music. Should probably drink a little of this. Speaking of organic, pressed juice. Ooh, there's cayenne in that. It's very spicy. Good, 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 guys. Kind of fun, isn't it? It's kind of fun getting specific. Like, wow. Huh. I could maybe really make that happen. That shit's kind of cool. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are loving this, because I'm loving it. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so later on you can dive into that and really fill up these sections. You can see, how it's kind of a rabbit hole in that respect. But the more clear that you become, getting the whole life planned out, awesome, Mo. The more clear that you become, the easier it is to be able to put those things into your life, or to see the opportunities that are going to place those things into your life, all right? You're going to have to constantly return to this exercise. I know it seems like a lot of work, but it's work worth doing. So you're going to want to make sure that you are constantly working on this aspect of your mindset. And this is part of your mindset practice. You don't have to tackle every one of these things in your life every day. Like, you don't have to do the 12 areas of life every day and sit down and write all this shit out, especially if you don't want to write it out, okay? But the idea is to be aware of them and to always kind of return to them. All right, so this is going to restart, a new mindset practice for you. And it's definitely the way to, get your mind thinking about your belief patterns and the stories that you tell yourself, and these little beliefs that are kind of popping up that may be holding you back or self-sabotaging yourself. All right, it's just important. And I wanted to make sure that I gave you some good, juicy mindset work to get you going on the idea of how it is to practice it. Okay, those are great questions to ask yourself as you are trying to develop a practice. Okay, so I didn't bring a prop. I was going to bring a prop, but I don't have it. So I want you to actually close your eyes for a second. Drop your pen. Take a deep breath. And I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine you have this massive lemon in your hand. A lemon. I did say lemon. Okay. And I want you to hold it up to your nose, and I want you to smell that lemon and take a big whiff of that lemon and what it smells like, the citrus that's coming through the little pores of the skin, and how it smells, its fragrance, everything about that lemon. Okay. And then I want you to open your mouth. I want you to shove that lemon in your mouth. And I want you to chomp on it and gnaw on it. I want you to swirl it around in your mouth. I want you to chew it all up. Okay. Now, if I'm taking bets, you can open your eyes, that when you did that, you actually reacted to the thought, right? When you took a bite out of that lemon, you probably went, oh man, right? Because you reacted to it. You didn't react to an actual lemon. You just reacted to the thought of the lemon and how it tastes, right? So we do this all the time. Do you see how your brain can do this to you and trick you all the time about things? And that's a very neutral thought, right? Very neutral. It's neither a good thing or a bad thing. But if you take something that's like a bad thing, can you imagine what kind of stories that your mind is going to actually play on you, and how your body is going to, bring that into your world or practice that? Okay, so I chose a neutral one because I didn't want to do anything bad tonight. That trickster. I know, right? But the mind, it should show you really how powerful that is. It's just like imagining. I watched somebody else do something on this before. They do this with amputees and what have you, which is really fascinating. But you can do it too by just holding out your hands in front of you. So if you're holding out your hands in front of you and you close your eyes and you imagine your like left arm that's like holding this 50-pound bag of sand, and the other arm is holding this like helium balloon, and you're trying so hard to not let the balloon go up. You're trying to keep your arms at the same level, and that sand is getting so heavy. You can feel it in your arm and your shoulder, and it's weighted down and it's weighted down and it's weighted down. And by the time that you open your eyes, your arms will be this way. Your body will react to the thoughts. That is how powerful our brain is. It will trigger our bodies to actually act out what we're thinking. All right. So it means our brains can do a lot more than we think they can. And that's why I wanted to share that with you. Okay. So what happens if you don't do a mindset practice? Okay. Yeah, yep, again. Mo, you're such a good participant. I love that you do all my crazy little tricks. It is fascinating. You're right, Lona. And it's powerful. And when you know this about your brain, don't you already feel more powerful? You're like, oh, hell no, you're not going to play those games on me now. Don't you feel a little more empowered knowing that you're like, fuck that. I'm not going to let you do that to me. Right? So it's kind of powerful when you actually start stretching your brain this way and realizing that you can move into that space anytime you want or move out of it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to know that you have that kind of power. So when we don't have, yeah, you did laugh at the lemon. I have stress injuries. I hear you. See? Yes, exactly. Ginger is a great point. So I want you to think about what would happen if you don't do a mindset practice, which if you're not doing one right now, you may be part of this. You feel stuck. You feel like you are in a pattern of some sort that's not really fulfilling. You feel like potentially there's something like right there on the cusp that you're always trying to chase, and it's always somehow evading you. That you feel like you're just on the cusp of answers, and yet you always are ending up with questions. When you're not doing mindset work, it's because of all of these unknowns. And I want to talk to you for real quick before we dive into this practice about the universe and how it works. Okay. So the universe has got all these spinning plates. All right. And it's all these spinning plates are, it's like all these things that you want are on these plates. And most of the time it's trying to just figure out what plates to hand you. Okay. What to hand off to you. And most of the time it's just going to hold on to them because you're not asking for what it is that you actually want. Typically not because you don't know what it is, but because you just simply don't ask. Because you're not giving it any particular thought, or that you're so generic. So if I were to ask you, Jenee, I need more money in my life. Okay, that's awesome. Well, if I gave you $2, would that be enough? Probably not, right? So if I gave you 200, would that be enough? Probably not, right? So the idea is, how much money is that? What does that actually look like to you? And how much do you really need in order to sustain either the life that you have or the life that you want? So we need to get really, really specific about that, because otherwise you're going to end up with a lot of kind ofs. I'd feel mean, exhausted, not me without a daily ritual. Perfect. Exactly. So I'm glad to hear you've got a practice going. So when we don't practice have a typical practice for our minds, just like we can't expect our bodies to be in perfect shape if we don't put in kind of an effort for it, right? If we're not eating right, if we're not, headed to the gym or doing, whatever practice we like, if it's yoga, if it's dance, if it's, whatever that looks like, running for you. So if you are expecting your life to make a shift, then you're going to have to actually start putting in the work from your mind perspective. And I used to think that this stuff was so silly. I used to think it was very granola. I used to thought it was very woo-woo. And until I started actually doing it for myself and things showed up. For instance, I had a very clear idea of the kind of people that I wanted in this group to do this particular practice. I had a very clear vision of who would be good for this practice in this workshop. I had a very clear vision of how many people I wanted in this workshop, and I hit all of those things. The people that are here are people who are actually need to be here, who need to hear this. The people that are here are curious enough to ask themselves bigger questions, and that's why you're here. And, I exceeded actually the number that I thought that I would have in this group. So I played to win. I won because I was clear about what I wanted and what I intended for this to do. So if you don't have a mindset practice, we're going to start talking about what that looks like for you. Okay. So I want you to make a list of all the things that you love to do. Okay. So do you love to listen to music? Do you love to watch YouTube videos that inspire you? Do you like to read? Do you like to drive? Do you like to sleep? Do you like to work out? Do you love yoga? Do you love dance? Do you like to play in parties? Do you like spending time with your friends? You're so excited about this. I'm so glad, Lona. I'm excited too. And I'm like, not even in your world like that. So I'm excited for you too. But it's exciting when you start really knowing that you can unlock these little key pieces, right? Do you like spending time with your pets? Do you like learning? Do you like to meditate? Do you like to write? What kinds of things? Do you want to knit? Do you just like crafting in general? Do you like taking pictures? I want to know, I want you to write down all of the things that you just really, really love. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes. And I'm going to give you music. Because I like music. It's one of my big ones. Write an exhaustive list. Good. How's that list coming? I just wanted to listen to that song, so I let you have a couple extra moments. I'm kind of partial to it. All right, so you have a list of all these things that you really, really love doing, right? An exhaustive list. There should be a lot of things. I'm hoping there's a lot of things on there. Good to have a lot of things, all right? I want you to put, it is a good tune. I want you to put a check mark next to the top 5 things that you're just like they're the top of your list. They don't have to be in order from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I just want you to put a check mark next to the 5 things that you find incredibly inspiring or that you love doing or you can't imagine your life without or anything like that. Okay, so 5 check marks. So for me, that would be, I love learning from YouTube videos and being inspired that way. For me, I love listening audibly to books because I'm dyslexic and I don't like reading. I love dance when I'm not injured. I love to write and I love to travel. Those are my top 5 things. So write those things out, maybe underneath that exhaustive list. You know, these are your top 5 things. Okay, this is the beginning of the design of your mindset practice. And before we move on, I want you to identify a time of day that you typically have time. Okay, something obvious where you know that you have at least 5 minutes, if not like up to 30 minutes, okay? Somewhere in that time frame. Now, is that in the morning when you first get up before you get like distracted with all kinds of shit? Or is that midday at your lunch break because you know you can just like veg out and just go to the place that you need to go at that time because nobody bothers you and you don't have kids maybe distracting you or things of that nature? Or is that like in the evening before you go to bed where you know that you could actually like, okay, I can turn the TV off and actually sit in bed and, you know, think some of this stuff through, okay? I want you to identify what time of day that is for you. And then I want you to identify how much of that time you have. Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? How much is that? You know, what does that look like for you? Be clear about what that is. So if this were me, so I used to think that I had to do my mindset practice in the mornings because everybody did their mindset practice in the morning before they got their day done. And I was really feeling like a complete moron because I couldn't do that. Like I don't know. Maybe it just takes me a while to get up. I don't know. So, and I thought, okay, well then I'll do it at night. And then I was like, oh, but you know, like Todd's home and like, that's like the only time that we actually get to connect during a day. And a lot of times it's just us falling asleep because we're so exhausted. So I started actually, because I am getting better at just mindset work all the time. And it's one of those things where I catch myself all the time going mindset practice, mindset. I used to have an alarm on my phone, to sit and do this. And I would do this like, you know, I'd have it set for like every 2 hours. I don't have to do that anymore, although I find that that's a really good way of kind of training yourself to doing mindset work all day long. If you want to just check in all day long, it's powerful to do that way, but some of us don't have that option. So it's going to be what works for you. That's why I'm having you identify some of this time now, so that way you can kind of go, oh, yeah, maybe that would work. If I set an alarm, you know, at the top of every 2 hours, and I could spend 5 minutes doing something, okay? So that's why I'm asking you to kind of uncover where that time actually resides. So I do my mindset work all day long. I have, you know, something on my laptop, like in my notes section, where I'm constantly just adding to under the date that I'm working on. Okay, so today, and like I write a little bit, and I'll depart from it, and then I'll come back and be inspired by something and write some more stuff. Okay. So that's why I'm asking you to identify that time. And now we can actually start designing. Okay. So are you guys excited? I am so excited. This is so fun. It's kind of fun, right? To be able to know that you can actually, it's almost like dream space. It's almost giving yourself permission to do, you know, to daydream in some regards. So now the idea is to take your top 5 things, and now it's time to try to put that into a practice of sorts. And what does that look like for you? Okay. So for me, for instance, like if my top one is watch YouTube videos. Well, today I did that. I took a few minutes and watched a few of my favorite, you know, either subscriptions that I had. Like I love watching Gary Vaynerchuk just to be inspired from a business standpoint. You know, and I love catching stuff about like alternative dimension stuff, like NASA meets like philosophy. So I've got some of those spaces that I like to just dabble in. I'll go back and watch stuff that I really love. And I'm only maybe giving myself anywhere from like maybe 10 to 20 minutes to watch those. And then I go back to work and I do something else. Now, if you have a regular 9-to-5 job, that might not work for you. So the idea is, okay, what kinds of spaces can you fit that? If you're a YouTube watcher, where can you fit that into your day from a mindset standpoint? Is it going to be in the morning before you get out of bed and you're going to be like, I'm going to do mindset like video work this morning, and I'm going to watch this video, one video, maybe it's only 5 minutes before I even get out of bed. I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to watch something that's going to set me up for the day. Okay, now if you're not in the video space, what would it look like to grab a book? Okay, where you grab a book where you find it's truly empowering to you, and it's inspiring to you, and you're going to set even a timer on your phone so you don't like forget and lose track, and you're going to read for 5 minutes. Sometimes that's all it takes, right? Maybe you're one that likes to move physically. Like I love dance. And for me, I can do a lot of thinking while I'm moving. So if you are one of those people that needs a kinetic activity to go with your mind, like this is really good for yogis especially. It's a really good chance for you to spend 20 minutes with yourself, either dancing it out or doing your yoga or running, walking around the neighborhood, and allowing yourself to answer some of these questions, like what do I want? Who am I going to step into? Who do I need to become? How am I going to get there? And you would be asking yourself all these series of questions to get more and more clear all the time during your physical activity work. Okay, so maybe that's at the end of your day after work, and you're going to hit the gym, and you're going to kind of like throw some headphones in, kind of tune out everybody in the gym, and you're going to use that time to be inspired. Or maybe you can listen to something while you're walking on the treadmill, right? I do that while I'm driving. Like I do so much driving that a lot of times I never listen to the radio. And when I'm driving like 5.5 hours one way, people are like, how do you not listen to the radio? And for me, I either listen to a book or I spend time working on my mindset, meaning I'll just sit in silence and I'll do that work. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's really what I do. And I'll start getting clear. I'll start answering questions for myself. People probably think I'm crazy because I'm talking to myself, but they don't know I'm not talking on the phone. So it's not that crazy, right? So, if you like to drive and what have you, and you can kind of couple that with maybe listening to a YouTube, don't watch it while you're driving, or I love audiobooks. So I use that a lot on my drives. And I'll get like a book done like super quick by just listening to audiobooks on my way back and forth, or a commute, or what kind of thing. So you need to figure out, how you can maybe partner some of those things up during spaces like natural commutes. How much time is that? 10 minutes to get to work? Awesome. So pop in an audiobook and use that 10 minutes to up-level your brain instead of tuning out and listening to, a stupid DJ in the morning. Okay? So, my other practice is writing. Now, a lot of people say you got to journal in order to do mindset work. I don't really truly believe that. So I love my Audible too. I don't necessarily think that you have to write it down. I will say I think writing down your shit is super powerful, which is why I'm having you do it tonight. And I would say you should make that a part of at least a part of your weekly practice. So if like maybe every Sunday night before you set up your week and you're going to just write out some of this shit, I think it's really powerful to be able to write it out. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to take you a long time, but there's science behind it. There's science about like people who write shit down, like their goals and stuff like that will hit them, I think like 50 times more than, yeah, me too, than the person who doesn't write it down. So even if it's not something that you love doing, if you're not like a writer or a journaler, or you think that journaling is silly, or like you can't like get yourself to really commit to that practice, I totally get it. It's not easy for everybody to write. But think of it as in bullet points. You don't have to write these like long things. Mine are really like just bullet point type stuff. Okay. Setting intentions is awesome. Awesome. Journaling has been the best medicine for me. Good. Awesome. So it sounds like we have some good writers here, which is great. And it's powerful, but it's only powerful if you're using it the right way, right? So being able to really get clear about some of these things. And I can look back at some of my journaling. I mean, I look back at my diaries from when I was a kid, where I said that I wanted to be a professional dancer. And lo and behold, that shit came true. Didn't realize at that point I was writing out my own history, but it actually worked. And it kind of surprised me when I looked at that little journal that I wrote. I had it, I think it's this one was from my 4th grade. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, I wrote down that I wanted to be a professional dancer, and by God, I made that shit happen. So it works. It's worked a lot in my life, and I've kind of departed from some of it at times where I'm just like, I can't bring myself to write, but then I always come back to it. And now it's really a big part of my practice. And And like I said, I can't sit down and do it all at once. It's like I'm too ADD. I have too many, like, the universe hits me with shit all the time. And I'm just the messenger. I don't take any responsibility for this whatsoever. So when it hits me, like, I can't sometimes sit and finish writing out something because I'm like, oh my God, I've got to like talk to that person right now because we need to do something together. Or, oh my God, I've got to really, tend to my dogs. They feel like they need me and I've got to deal with that. Or, oh my God, there's this idea. I need to create a graphic for that. Oh my God, I've got this really great thing for the website, for the membership site. I really need to work on that right now. So I get pulled in really a lot of directions, which is why my mindset practice has to happen all the time, all day long. You're going to have to devise that a little bit for yourself according to your day and what works for you. All right. So I want you to figure out what time that is and commit to that as part of like, I'm doing this. It's a done deal. Okay. So I want you to literally type into the comments, I'm committing to my practice. So that way, like, it's done. Or you can just put it's done too. That's fine. And that's okay. Your minds, are receivers, we're little antennas. And sometimes if your creative is up or, if you spend a lot of time on your own, like I know Mo, you do, I do, it's really hard sometimes to focus on stuff. So it's okay. Good. Awesome, Julie. Love it, Lona. Awesome, Ginger. You guys rock my face. So good. So good. Good. So the idea is to really design your practice. Now, here's the thing too. Don't compartmentalize it too much, but I think it's kind of important that you look at those 5 things because like one of my 5 things is travel, right? It's something I really love doing. It's got to be a part of my life. Well, I obviously can't like hop a plane. Good, Carolyn. I can't hop a plane tomorrow and like every week or every day for that matter. So what does that mean for me? Well, I take regular breaks all day long to look at Airbnbs, to look at deals on, airlines, to look at destinations that I want to go to. And I keep notes about those things or what have you, or I don't. I just will go and just research something. I follow a ton of different travel sites like on my social spaces. So I'll let myself kind of go through that and bring travel into my life. I don't have to physically actually travel. It just means that I need to bring it into my life so that way I'm aware. Because right now I am completely obsessed over this trip that I want to take to Thailand. Totally obsessed. Like, have to go. Gotta go. Committing to this in the mornings before school. Awesome, Lisa. That's awesome. And I know that's hard because your ass gets up so early. So way to go. That's freaking awesome. Way to go. So I'm totally committed to going on this trip to Thailand. I think I almost had Todd convinced that he wants to go to. And Bangkok. Just because it's crazy. It's a crazy trip. Like, who does that? Like, it's really, but I feel like I have to go. And so I don't know if I'm going to go next week. I don't know if I'm going to go next year, but it's on my list and I'll make it happen because it keeps coming up in my life. I just realized that we've been doing this all along, but feel guilty about it. So I never commit. See, that's awesome. So, and yeah, isn't it interesting? And this is part of what, where our brains tell us what we can't have, right? It just limits you, like, oh, I shouldn't want for that. I shouldn't want for more. And I should just be happy with what I have. But yet you find yourself still stuck, right? You feel like you're not moving forward because you don't have everything in your life that you want. It's okay to want for more. You just have to know what's on the other side of that. When you ask for more, A, what are you grateful for? And B, what can you do with that? So like, for instance, I want to, travel so much and I want to take people with me and I want to do retreat after retreat after retreat where people can come and we can gather together in spaces that are truly inspiring. Yeah, I know the elephant rescues. I know in Thailand, I've seen a lot of that since I've been looking at it. Yes. And how are you giving back to the universe? Exactly. And so, I want to be able to, which I do already, but I want to do more of is bringing people along and doing, these practices together in places that are truly inspiring, where, we can travel more affordably because we are a group and, where we can up level, where I can take beautiful pictures of people, either, as individuals or couples or families or what have you, and mark that milestone in their life. So that's a huge thing, right? And I, work on that all the time, and I'm always wanting to bring that into my world. And so I'm constantly writing about it, because it's a huge thing for me. And that's how I'm giving back to the universe. I'm giving back, helping people up level, helping people learn how to get over the idea that they can't have things in their life, hopscotch right over those things, so that way they have permission. And sometimes that's what we need, someone else to give us some permission. Yes, I do retreats. So I just did one in August to the Turks in Caicos. It's awesome. All right, so how does that sound? How are you guys feeling? Who wants to share like one of their wants, and how they can step into that, which I know is going to be a lengthy writing process for you in typing, but I can wait. And we're at an hour, so I'm going to wrap things up here in a second, because I know your time is valuable, but I do want to hear about it. If you guys want to share at least one of your things, or how you're going to start, what kind of combination you might use to do your mindset practice, whether you're going to do a little writing and then you're going to do a little workout, or whether you're going to do a little knitting and then you're going to put it together with a little writing later. What does that look like for you? How are you going to practice? What does that look like? I kind of shared mine with you, so that way I give you an idea. Like mine is a lot of writing all day long, but it's also watching stuff. It's also books when I'm driving. It's also researching travel spaces. Commit to journaling again. Good. Awesome. And then being able to commit when that time is. Good. I'm doing this. I'm receiving info about rental homes in Spain. Carolyn, I love you. Carolyn is one of my serious awesome clients who just nails her shit. She is just getting so clear, has made leaps and bounds, and so proud of her. I'm so jazzed for you. It's already a done deal. It's going to happen. You'll be in Spain in no time. I'm so excited for you. Really, really awesome. Really, really good, guys. So share away at least one or two things, so that way I know that this is resonating. I'm committing to doing a writing practice the night before I go to bed, and meditation practice in the morning, and start my day with a clear and focused mind. Awesome. Good. Love it. And give how much time are you going to commit to that? Is that a 5-minute practice, morning, night? That would be awesome. That would be perfect. That'd be a great way to start too. Don't say, I'm going to sit down for an hour and I'm going to write. I want to move to the East Coast on the beach. I have been looking at both homes to purchase and homes to rent. I can do that with work that I do, but have been inspired to do a career. I need to see more of that one. Been inspired to do a career shift. I can't read the whole thing, but yes, Mo, I know you've been doing your work on this, because we've been working a little bit on that, so that's awesome. And, it becomes more and more realistic when you actually do the research on it, doesn't it? It actually goes, well, I'm paying for an apartment here. I could easily pay for an apartment over there, right? I mean, I had to, well, I can do this because it's my private group. I coach my ex-husband, and I was doing this with him tonight, taking the vacation to write my plans for my next career move. Awesome. Love it, Ginger. Perfect. He had a moment of total freak out today, and I just said, well, what's different now than I was 2 weeks ago? There's nothing that's really changed. You can actually just hop to and move forward without telling yourself all kinds of stories about why you're freaked out right now, right? Yes. And property is OBX is crazy. Yeah, exactly. Awesome, you guys. All right, so before I let you go, you guys ready to hear your offer? And I kind of can't believe I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it because I can. I'm going to bring international mindset practice into a cool down and morning workout. Awesome. Intentional. I said international. I don't know why I said that. Weakness to start my day after workouts makes me feel more alive. Awesome. That's really good, Lisa. That's perfect. One of my wants in front of me has been a new car, and I'm right on the cusp of it happening. I did my research and figured out how much I can actually really afford. Perfect. And now it's a little more attainable, because you're it doesn't feel so out there in space. That's not available to me. Typically we tell our stories about these things that's not available to me. That house is not available to me. That career is not available to me. That car is not available to me, you know, because I don't have the money for it. But what would it really take? All it really does is just breaking down the practice, right? So it's definitely some good mindset shifts for you guys. It's really awesome. Okay, so I'm going to give you the offer that's just for you guys in this group. Because you decided to step up, and I love people who are willing, and I need to work with willing people. You know, there were a lot of people who asked to be in this group that, you know, I knew would not be a good fit for this group. And they are not here because of that. Not because I said no, they kind of filtered themselves out because they're not ready to make shifts like that, because they're not open. They're not living a yes life just yet. So if you want to dive in personally with me on a practice, and literally do a slam session of mindset work with me that will take you into 2017, you can do that with, I'm going to give that session away for $49, which is what you paid to be in here, which is like a third of the cost of what I would do for a session that's similar to that. And you just have to message me if you want to do that, so we can sit down and literally practice that, like put that into motion and see what that looks like and the steps that you're going to have to take to get certain things actually accomplished in, 2017, at least to get you kicked off the right way. Okay. So if you want to take advantage of that, you just need to message me, and say, I'm totally in. We can do that via, Skype, Messenger, phone, however you guys want to, do it, whether you live, here or far, it doesn't matter. It can be done from anywhere because I've set up my business to do that. Right? So, just message me if that interests you. Again, it's only $49. So, it's a really good deal to be able to sit and actually get super clear about, where you're headed, about your mindset practice, about what steps it's going to take in order for you to get there. I know a lot of you are working on things that are super like life shifting right now. So whether you're moving, or you're considering a new job, there's a lot of big shifters in this group. Okay. So if we need to work on that, we can. All right. So just message me if that interests you. You only have like 48 hours to take advantage of that because it's for 2017 and I need to be able to sure I can get all of you in before we actually hit 2017. So that's why it has to be limited time. Okay. So message me if you want to do it. All right. So how'd it go? Did you guys enjoy this? Give me a big yes, yes, yes. Lots of cool shifts tonight, you guys. I love seeing these like things that are flying out of you. It's awesome. Love, love, love it. Super cool. My dogs are like trying to get into the office. That's why that's noise happening. Can you please confirm you take the 5 important goals and each day set aside time to focus on these items? I'll clarify with you, Carolyn, on that later. Okay. I'll message you and tell you where that is. Okay. Awesome. 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 Mo. Great, Julie. You guys are freaking awesome. I can't wait to see. Good, Ginger. Yay. I can't wait to see what comes out of this for you and the clarity that it's going to really infuse into your life. Lona, perfect. You guys are rock stars. Super cool. All right. So, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So, let me know if you want to work together with that slam session, and we'll get hot on that ASAP. So that way we're ready for 2017, because I want you walking into that like a freaking lion and not a cub. Okay. All right. So I'm going to sign off. You guys are awesome. And feel free to follow up with me if you have any questions. And then, of course, you can always go back and watch this again. That way you can get clear on anything that you missed or what have you. Okay? Roar. I love it. Perfect. All right, guys. See you later. You're welcome.